Hello there, this is TPA017 and today I'm going to be having another quick look at some Mac games that came out last month. This is a bit later than normal, I have to admit, and this time around it's really given me a lot of trouble with trying to get everything together. I'm not really sure why, but well, let's get into it anyway. So first of all, we have So we have HoloPARADE by RoboCloy. It's launched as part of the Holo Indie campaign, I would say. It's basically to allow fans and creators to co-create games and release them. So it's a tower defense game based on HoloLive. It's got over 65 characters / VTubers and an equipable spell system. So let's have a bit of a look at the trailer. Yeah, so a bit of a shorter trailer that one, but yeah, so as you can see it features quite a few of the girls. So system requirements are fairly low, so it's available for Mac and Windows on Steam. Windows requirements are Windows 10 64-bit and a 2.8 GHz processor or better, which yeah, it's fairly reasonable. I mean, a lot of processors will be able to handle that. 4 GB of RAM, 4 GB of VRAM, and 1 GB of free space. On the Mac side, macOS 13 Ventura, and either Intel or Apple Silicon processor, 4 GB of RAM, and any integrated Intel or Apple GPU. I would say anything probably about 2017 or later would be able to run it without any trouble, probably even a bit further back, and 1 GB of free space. Now I've seen a few of the girls have been playing it recently, so it seems to be fairly popular. So next one. Now I might get in trouble for the trailer for this one, given it's the mouse. So Disney Dreamlight Valley by Gameloft. So it's so it officially launched in December, although it was available for about a year before that as a early access / beta kind of thing. It's not really sure how to describe it. It's got quite a few of the Disney Pixar characters to meet, as well as mini games, a fair few realms to explore of the different settings. And you've also got house building as well. So let's have a look.
There once was a dream world in which familiar friends, from the most heroic to the most villainous, lived together in harmony. However, as time passed, the forgetting set in, and the world fell into darkness until you arrived. You have the power to make it special again. With your help, this dream world can grow back into something magical. This is a place where you'll have no worries, where you'll wish time could get frozen, where you can find a friend in everyone, feed your passions. A place where you can find yourself at home. and let your creativity reign.
Okay, 1, 2, 3.
This is a place.
Sorry about cutting off a bit soon, but once again I'm a bit cautious about the mouse in case I might get hit for it. I'm not really sure. So it's available on quite a few platforms, Windows, Mac, PS4 and PS5, Xbox One, Xbox X and S, on the Switch, and for iOS as well through Apple Arcade. Minimum system requirements are Windows 10, an Intel i3 540 or an AMD Phenom 2 X4 940. They're actually fairly low and fairly old processors going by today standards. So I'm really not sure about those. But right, so 6GB of RAM, NVIDIA GeForce GT 9600 with 512MB. Right, AMD Radeon HD 6570 with 1GB and 10GB of free space. So let's say low medium requirements. A fair amount of systems should be able to run it, considering it's able to run on the Switch. On the Mac side, macOS 12 at Monterey, the Apple M1 or laser processor, same for GPU, and 10.7GB of free space. So our next one is Undying by Vanimals. So it's spent 2 years in early access. So it's a survival action RPG. It's got a bit of a interesting art style to it actually. It has over 100 different skills and some roguelike elements as you fight against the zombie infection taking over your body, and help try to set up your son, make sure he's alright. So there's a bit of a mature content warning with it, because zombie apocalypse and all, not exactly the heaviest thing in the world, but let's have a look at the trailer. Yes, a bit of a different one, that one. It's not exactly my kind of game, but you never know, it could be yours. It's got a very interesting little art style to it though. So it's available on Windows and Mac. So for Windows 7, Service Pack 1 or later. Processors are Intel Core i3 3220 or AMD FX 6300. So they'd be fairly older processors at this point. 4GB of RAM, NVIDIA GeForce GTX 650, and 1.5GB of free space. So I'd say fairly low in requirements at this time. For the Mac, macOS 10.14 Mojave, with an Apple M1 or an Intel Core i5 processor, 4GB of RAM, GPU compatible with OpenGL 3.2, and 1.5GB of free space. So basically, if it's able to run 10.14 or later, it should be able to run it. Next one, now, this is a bit of a... It got me a bit off guard actually. A Date with Death by 2.5 Studios. And this is... Well, it's had over... I think last I checked it was about 3,300 positive reviews. So it's a visual novel and romance chat simulator with the Grim Reaper himself, and you're able to customise your character and apartment. And yeah, so I was a bit surprised when, well, to see how many people reviewed it positively, to be honest. So let's have a look at the trailer. Okay, I was expecting a bit of gameplay with it, but alright. Maybe I didn't get the right trailer. Anyway, so it's available on Windows, Mac and Linux. Operating system requirements are Windows 7, 10 or 11, or Linux running on a x86 or x86-64 processor system. Basically, we're either about 1 GHz processor, 512 megabytes of RAM. Basically, it does have a GPU, and do you have at least 2 gigabytes of free space? Just worry about the processor and the 2 gigabytes of free space, fairly low end requirements. For the Mac side, macOS 10.6 Leopard. That's pretty old at this point. I think it's about 10 years old. 512 megabytes of RAM. Basically a GPU and 2 gigabytes of free space. So it's a visual novel. They're able to run on quite a few things, to put it politely. Next one, Die in the Dungeons Origins by Attico. So it's a bit of an interesting little one. It's a turn-based roguelike deck builder, but instead of cards, it uses dice to determine different actions and outcomes, and it also has a extensive little relic system. So it's serving as a bit of a prequel to Die in the Dungeons, which has yet to be released. As far as I know, they're still going through it and doing balancing and working on the actual, the main game itself. So let's have a look. Pretty good little soundtrack to it, actually. So, Die in the Dungeons, available for Windows and Mac. Windows, it's Windows 7 or later, 1.3 GHz processor, 1 GB of RAM, 1 GB of VRAM for the GPU, and DirectX 10 support, and 400 megabytes of free space. So it's probably one of the lowest requirements on this list, to be honest. For the Mac side, macOS 10.7 Lion. Again, that's also pretty old by now, about probably 9 years old. 1.3 GHz processor, 1 GB of RAM, 1 GB of VRAM for the GPU, and 200 megabytes of free space. So, low-end requirements. So, next one is an interesting one. Demeo, Resolution Games. So it originally came out in 2021 for the Oculus Rift, and it's come out on quite a few platforms since then, mostly VR/AR. But so it's a dungeon crawler which features a cross-platform co-op with up to 4 players and 6 different classes to choose from. So let's have a bit of a look. Now this is one of those that gave me a bit of trouble, so let's see if it works.
Descending into the dark dungeons of forgotten memories, the mighty Guardian found himself caught in an ambush. An old but familiar magic, whispering a call to adventure. Compelled by fate, he summoned the old fellowship.
Alright boys, what's the plan of attack here?
You gotta get the key and then we gotta go to the exit.
Alright, we'll try to take out this little spider looking thing.
Do it, John! Take him out!
Where are we going? Should we go in here? Ooh, a chest. Oh, we got a card. Ooh, nice.
Do I need to save you?
There's a card. You got a card?
Okay, hang on, I got this.
Oh!
What about this door over here?
I have a feeling this could get ugly. Oh, look at this guy.
They're killing you, man.
They're taking a beating.
I'm about to die!
Alright, I'll just move on. 1, 2,
We got your
3.
back.
So, just had to move on from there, otherwise we could go on for a little bit. So it's available on Windows and Mac, the PS5. Let me see, the PlayStation VR 2, the Meta Quest and Meta Rift, the Pico, also on iOS, and it was also announced as a upcoming release for the Apple Vision Pro. So that could be a bit of an interesting one. It was announced back in September. So minimum system requirements are Windows 10, Intel i5 4590 processor or an AMD FX 3350, 8 GB of RAM, NVIDIA GeForce GTX 1050 Ti or a AMD Radeon RX 470, and 6 GB of free space. So I'd say low to medium requirements. This is only the minimum requirements. So for the Mac side, macOS 10.15 Catalina, Apple M1 or a Intel i5 4950 processor, 8 GB of RAM, metal capable GPU. So it's a little bit vague here, but I would say anything released since about 2014, something like that. You'd be really more worrying about if it's running Catalina, if it's got 8 GB of RAM rather than the GPU side, and 6 GB of free space. So our next one, next one's probably the most demanding game on the list. So Grid Legends by Codemaster, brought over by Feral Interactive. So it was originally released in 2022 for Windows. The Mac version is actually the deluxe edition, so it's got all 5 DLC packs included, which is quite nice. So this is the other one that gave me a bit of trouble getting the trailer to work, so let's have a look.
I think it's time to have a little party.
Someone just say party.
problem, making 100 a week at this part-time job, man, that's bank to me. I stay away from the formal, ain't nothing wrong, no, being normal. Cause when it comes, I do it at the final hour. How you think you feel if all you strive for was power? Kings, presidents, we can sing them all. The only power I got's in the sockets in my wall. We all got struggles, demons we hide. If I can pick the one that I hate most, and that's pride. If you got too much, you can't get out of my town. Community of humility that will take you down. Don't care if you think you're better, think you on top like Hannah. We all are equal whether or not we stick together. I'm a regular guy and we are regular people. No matter what they say, we all equal. One power, one...
Right, I just had to move on a little bit since I'm worried about getting smacked over copyright. So, now, I want to be a bit clear here. So, in theory, that trailer was supposed to be the 1080p version. That is not 1080p. The game actually looks better than that particular trailer shows, but that was the highest quality one that could actually get working. So anyway, so available on Windows and Mac. So for Windows, Windows 10 or 11 and 64-bit. Processor Intel i3 2130 or AMD FX 4300. They're fairly low end. 8GB of RAM. NVIDIA GeForce GTX 650 or AMD Radeon Pro 460, and 50GB of free space. I'd say medium requirements. Your main concern would be RAM and space. For the Mac side, macOS 13 Ventura with an Apple M1 or later processor and GPU, and 35.6GB of free space. So now honourable mentions this time. So we have Milo and the Christmas Gift by Johann Schurft. So it's a bit of a point-and-click spin-off game off of Milo and the Magpies. We help a small cat find a runaway Christmas present. I haven't had any Christmas presents of mine actually run away myself, but you never know. The other one, one of them included, but it's hovering about 74-75%, and here's the thing, I really try for 80% and above positive reviews. So, Warhammer 40,000 Road Trailer by Owlcat Games. So it's about a 140-hour long RPG set in the Warhammer 40k universe, and it was made by the developers behind Pathfinder: Wrath of the Righteous. It's got medium requirements, system requirements, but it basically has all the mature content warnings. So yeah, if you're looking at getting it, I'd check that first just to make sure. But yes, so that sort's come out in December. There's a few interesting ones coming up in January. We've got Death Stranding coming out, or Death Stranding Director's Cut coming out at the end of the month, which I'm looking forward to. And yes, so now next time I plan to actually get January's edition out a fair bit sooner, rather than right at the end of the month. So until then, I'll see you then. Alright, thank you.